you are not able to deal with ambiguity, not look at design. I think engineering looks at things from efficiency, materials, how they last, you can have circularity in it, etc. Management also looks at things through more like an Excel sheet. Design is very different. Design looks at the person or the community or really understanding the problem or life in general. What doesn't exist and what we are trying to work with is to develop a designer who can work with technology, who can work with business, who understands finance, strategy, and understands the entire gamut of design. The intention is to build a designer who has a broader viewpoint, who can use the impact of design in multiple industries, not just in aesthetics or making something look better or maybe function better, but like I said, in public policy, aluminum, in infrastructure, in healthcare. Like how can we improve healthcare for people in urban, poor, or how can we look at financial? One of the projects that our students did last semester was looking at communication of financial systems. I think one thing that's really important is we have to see design as something larger, something which is more collaborative, something which is about understanding life and working with others to fulfill problems.
Hello students, welcome to Btech360. A lot of students after doing PCM are stuck of what exactly they want to do, and many students these days are preferring the design courses also. You obviously have the pure sciences as one of the programs, B.Tech as one of the programs, then you have BBA and data sciences and those kind of things. But B.Design is emerging as one of the topmost courses that students are preferring as they move along. In the process, we were trying to list out all the colleges that actually offer good B.Des programs beyond the NIDs that we have in the country. Of course, if you have an NID, you must go in there. It's one of the best institutions that you have in the country, especially NID Ahmedabad. But beyond that, some of the very good B.Des programs that you have in the country, also off late, one of the very good option that has come up is from B.Des Pilani stable. The legacy B.Des Pilani University, which is from Pilani by the way, has set up a B.Des program in Bombay, in Kalyan, which is in the outskirts of Bombay. By the way, one of the good things about this particular campus is it doesn't have any B.Tech program, but it has law, management and design. So anything that is not to do with B.Tech has been established from Bombay. And Bombay being the commercial hub of this country, the opportunities that students have in terms once they graduate from there are also very, very high. So from that perspective, when B.Des Pilani sets up a B.Des program, it warrants some kind of a scrutiny and warrants some kind of an understanding from the student perspective of how good it is, and what is it that they offer. From that perspective, Career 360 and Btech360 reached out to B.Des and spoke to Miss Nandita Abraham, who actually heads this particular course from Bombay. And we obviously asked her from essentially talking about the generic question that students have of who should do B.Des, what kind of student should do B.Des. What are the kind of career pathways that open once you finish that particular course? In the age of AI, when design is likely to be eaten up, is one of the conversations that happen. What are the options that student has, and what exactly does AI help, aid, or in a worst case situation, how do students deal with B.Des program in the age of AI? These are questions that really, really bother a lot of students. And besides that, of course, about the B.Des Pilani part of it itself, not just B.Des, but the B.Des Pilani B.Des that we're talking of what are the kind of internship opportunities, what kind of placement opportunities that do you have? Do students, at some point in time want to be on their own and set up their own practice as a designer? So these are all questions that bother many of the students. So what we did was we spoke to Miss Nandita Abraham about all these questions and more, and listened to her, and you'll exactly understand whether you should do B.Des. If you do B.Des, how do you judge a college before you make the choice of joining that particular college? What kind of opportunities open up for you if you were to do a B.Des? What kind of internship happens? What kind of career pathways open up? And what kind of subjects you should be good at if you want to choose B.Des? All these questions and more is what we asked her. And this particular conversation that I had with her was particularly illuminating for me from a different perspective also, because I always felt that design is all about beautifying a lot of products, but the kind of responses that came to me is much, much beyond that. And that is where it actually was very enlightening for me personally also. Listen to her. And before I jump onto the questions with Ms. Nandita Abraham, may I request all of you, please do subscribe to Btech360. It's very important for us that you subscribe to us.
So design is meant for people who are curious, willing to explore, wanting to understand what's happening in the world. And if you are not able to deal with ambiguity, if you want to always know what's going to come next, if you don't like to work with other people, maybe then one should really not look at design. Design is for people who are, again I said, curious, who are creative, who want to express themselves, who want to make a difference to the world, who want to see the change that they can bring, who wants to solve problems and dreams of like a better world. So optimistic people who like to work in teams and get things done. I think that would be a good explanation. So there are different kinds of design courses. If you're focusing on a skill-based course, so maybe like animation, motion graphics, UX, fashion, then I think you can expect to get a job where you will use your skills to solve problems or to create beautiful products or create. So you will work either in a company or in a design studio using your skills. There are other design courses which are slightly broader in nature, where you will have the opportunity to use multiple skills to first identify what could be the core issue or the core problem, and then work along with other people to solve that problem. I think broadly these are the two things that people can expect. So if you're working with your skills, that means that you are a great drawer, you can make amazing logos, then you can work as a freelancer, work by yourself, work for other people but in your own capacity. If you are trying to solve larger problems and make a bigger difference, then you can be an entrepreneur, but you need to be part of a group of people, work with organizations where you can have a larger impact. In that case, it's not for people who want to work alone. Okay, so it does give great space for entrepreneurship, if that's what's your question. And there are like I said, there are different kinds of design schools and different kinds of design courses. Some are more towards like this collaborative working, and some are more towards just working by yourself. So you can really make that choice, because we need both skills and competencies in design. That's a really good question. I think it's very important for students to evaluate, because there is the right place for every student. I don't think everyone must aspire to go to the same college, because there's a truth that there is in each college, and I'll try to give some examples. There are many colleges where you join and then for 4 years you do either fashion design, product design, graphic design, interior design, and those colleges are mostly focused on the skill of that vertical. And that's great if you're sure what you want to do and you want to focus on those skills, and there are jobs for that. So you can get a UX job or a fashion designer job that's focused only on that skill. That's one set of colleges. What other people are starting to do now, more around the world and a few in India, is to say, can we look at design from a broader lens? Can you design experiences? Can you design employee engagement in an organization? Can you design public policy? So if you are a student who wants to look at design from a larger frame, then you have to look at those kind of colleges. All these, that is engineering, management and design, have a different approach maybe of looking at the same thing, because at the end of the day we are all trying to live in this world and be able to cope with and do well in this world. I think engineering looks at things from efficiency, from materials, how they last, you can have circularity in it, etc. Management also looks at things through more like an Excel sheet. Design is very different. Design looks at the person or the community, or really understanding the problem or life in general as an approach. I'll give an example. We're trying to collaborate with a group of people who are doing breast cancer research. They have patents, they're doing really well. Nobody has met a breast cancer patient. So the approach that design takes is very different. The first thing you'll do is understand what the person is going through, what are the experiences they have, and then solve for that. Because at the end of the day, we all want to live our lives with interactions that make meaning to us. And really that's what design does. I think it's just amazing that B.Des has brought design in. Just the fact that you're sitting on 60 years of excellence in entrepreneurship, in innovation, in making connections with the industry, in giving students the empowerment that they can do anything that they want to do. And imagine design where you can collaborate with people who are in pharmacy, who are in medical devices, who are working in AI, and like all our students, the goal is that all of them should work with at least one startup. Right now we're doing about 8 at a time from the technology universities. So when the technology student and the design student come together, or the technology, the design, law, management student come together, that represents what real life is. Because none of these work in silos or can work in silos. So the opportunity really is to make the most of the heritage that exists with B.Des and create something special. Structurally, in the curriculum development, the professors from B.Des Pilani and the Senate from B.Des Pilani played a very important role. That's number one. Number two, our faculty have been to Hyderabad, to Pilani, and spend time understanding the research, etc. that's going on. Third is our startups, and we're already incubating. I think we finished one round of pre-incubation. There were 12 there, and the next round has started up. They all have one student from management and some integration wherever required with technology. Like I said before, our Vice Chancellor said that every student must do a project with either a B.Des Pilani startup or a professor from B.Des Pilani who has a startup or is doing some research. We're planning at the end of the third year that every student has the option to go for an immersion to one of the B.Des Pilani campuses. So B.Des Pilani has a practice school system, which is practice school 1 is after 2 years, and practice school, that's for 8 weeks. Practice school 2 is in the 4th year, and that's for 22 weeks, and we have adopted that. So the companies that we went out to along with the technology teams are very different from what you will see a regular design school going to. So that opportunity is great. The interest is very high, and we're trying to use, or we are using all systems that can benefit our students. Last year in August, the design school students had a module called Speculative Design, which is designing for the future. The theme was social justice. The faculty went and presented to the law school students, and 57 law school students came to be a part of this. So in every group, there were 4 design students and 2 law students discussing the future of social justice. Now that kind of experience is amazing. We haven't done that yet with management, but like I said before, that every startup has, or every design startup has one management student in the team. So that can be a part. Before we started the B.Des Design School, there was a lot of discussion. Our Chancellor was very keen on a design school, but what's the point of B.Des Pilani building just another design school, because there are already so many design schools and they're all good. There is the right place for every student and all the schools are good. So what is it that we could as BITS do differently? And I think that's the difference that we're trying to make is like I said, that most design schools, students join a course and they work in that course in the silo of that design, whether it's graphic design or fashion design, for 4 years, and they get a job based on skills. This exists. What doesn't exist and what we are trying to work with is to develop a designer who can work with technology, who can work with business, who understands finance, strategy, and understands the entire gamut of design. Our course is a Bachelor of Design honors. There is no specialization. Yes, students choose focus areas, like they can choose to do physical products or digital products and services, or experiences, designing experiences, design research or visual design, but this is an area where they are building depth. But every year they're doing courses, they come out of that. They're doing courses which are what we call transdisciplinary, which means that the knowledge created in the class is built on multiple disciplines. So our students don't go to the management school for marketing 101, we bring the management faculty into the design classroom. So there's always a design faculty in the classroom, but along with that you are learning economics, supply chain management, maybe management or finance in the design classroom. The intention is to build a designer who has a broader viewpoint, who can use the impact of design in multiple industries, not just in aesthetics or making something look better or maybe function better, but like I said, in public policy, in aluminum, in infrastructure, in healthcare. Like how can we improve healthcare for people in urban, poor, or how can we look at financial? One of the projects that our students did last semester was looking at communication of financial systems. So the government brings out many schemes for less fortunate people, but in the urban slums in Mumbai, that communication and people don't know how to use it. The NGOs don't know how to access it. Sometimes definitely the people in the urban slums don't know how to access it. And from this has actually come a project which 2 of our students started and which has been taken up by RBI Innovation Hub, which is an AI first system that looks at MSMEs, craftsmen, etc., who don't speak Hindi or English and don't know how to understand these forms or even fill it up. So it's a voice first system that helps them to identify schemes and fill the form. So there's no point doing anything without the industry, especially because we are creating this designer who we say is going to work across industries. So I think the first in year one, we do it a little more carefully, where we bring in young people from the industry to talk to students in small groups. They give our students a challenge. It's called Design Discovery Club. So that our students get exposed to the fact that what different people are doing and how people are looking at design differently. In year two, we start bringing in projects from the industry. So at the end of year one, firstly, all students go for a community project. So they all go out into either rural education, natural farming, any kind of health. So they're all in the community and working in the community. That's for a period of 3 weeks. They don't solve anything. They're still just understanding, what is happening, how are people working. In the second year, we do more industry-focused projects. The theme in the beginning is still transformation. So we have a project called Transformation Project. I'll give some examples. The Western Railways gave us a project to say that how can we make the platforms and waiting areas more accessible and inclusive. That's an example of a project. The other example is the project that I gave about communication of financial schemes from the government to people in urban slums. another project or set of projects was given to us by the collector of the Nandurbar district, and she was looking at multiple things. Like one is how do you get children to come to Anganwadis? So Zomato had a Feed India initiative. They were giving free food, but there were no students coming to the Anganwadi. Another project that she gave was in Nandurbar district, there are local crafts, local food, local herbs. But because everything is now about Swiggy and Amazon, the local people itself were not using it. So how do you build pride in the local community for their kind of food? So I'm just giving an example that that these are the kind of things we started off with. Right now, the second year students are doing live industry projects, which means the company has given the project, the company has given the mentors, and they're leading it. We also have a faculty in each group. There's HDFC Bank, there's Google, there's Raymond's, and there's a company called the Able Company. So at every stage, if our students don't understand, one is that our students have to understand how the industry works. Second is the industry has to understand what can a designer do, because largely the industry still thinks that a designer can make something pretty, can make something look good. And I think that's what we want to change. We want to look at design, or we look at design as a system. We look at design as a base for collaboration. And I hope that some of the examples that I gave are giving you an idea that design is not about making things pretty. So number one, we are from B.Des, Pilani. So the outcome is extremely important, meaning at every stage we are assessing, and we are also being assessed as to how we are performing, because the student and his outcome is the most important thing. 50% of our students are on some form of scholarship or the other, so that getting that job does become important. That's number one. Number two, from day one, they are all doing some entrepreneurship. Maybe every semester they're doing a different, like I think nearly every Saturday there's a pitch session that's happening. So they're getting into that culture, they're meeting people across different, and the B.Des Pilani alumni have been, unbelievably amazing, both in terms of mentoring any small entrepreneurship. They're available to mentor, they're available to make connects, to make anything possible. So I see that, and a lot of students also come there thinking, we want to be an entrepreneur. So placements for sure. Placements not only in design studios, but like I said, in companies. If you look at where our students are going for internship right now, they're going to Havells, they're going to Kotak Mahindra, they're going to HDFC, they're going to Suzlon. So it's not like they're going only to design studios. So placements number one, entrepreneurship number two, and possibly there will be students who want to study further, because they're already showing a lot of interest in research. Broadly, we think that there'll be two kinds of students. One are those who will work with the industry and hopefully become leaders of the industry soon. The other are those who want to change things and who want to change the industry. Now you can change the industry from inside, or you can change the industry from outside. So we'll have to look at that. Yes, I do think that design was originally for maybe like the elite. I do think that's changing. We have a lot of students who were JEE students who have then met somebody or been counseled by somebody or met someone working in design and seen that they want to do something a little more creative. So the kind of students who are coming in are no longer very esoteric. Yes, they still are a little, they want to do something. You know, they don't just want to follow what their fathers tell them to do. So maybe they went for JEE coaching because their fathers told them to go for JEE coaching, but then halfway through they figured it out and they're able to convince their parents And today what's changed is also parents are understanding. Parents are understanding that it's no longer enough to just have one skill. You have to, because the world is changing every 2 years. Who knew that we would be sitting in a world like this? So we need to have those skills or competencies to be agile, to change according to what's happening in the world, and work in one industry, then shift to another industry, maybe to another career. And design is something that can kind of take that over. In terms of economics, I think, I'm not sure whether this is from BITS Pilani or not, but we have a very broad range of students who apply to us. A lot of them are very serious applicants, and 50% of our students are on some form of scholarship or the other. There are merit scholarships which are just based on merit of the entrance process, but there is an equal number of merit cum means scholarships. So if their family income is less than 18 lakhs a month, but a year, but they do appear on the merit list, they automatically get a scholarship. They don't have to apply for it. Like you said, it's very important that different voices come into the classroom. And as long as you just have one particular kind of people, then the learning is much less. So that, I think that's something that is, I find it quite useful to have students from multiple states of India, from different economic backgrounds, different languages, different viewpoints. That's what makes the classroom rich. The question is whether design will be eaten up by AI, and yes, some parts of design will be eaten up. Those parts of design which are repetitive, which maybe are anything that is repetitive, very skill focused, will be eaten up by AI. But AI cannot make judgments, AI cannot make decisions, AI cannot have a new thought or a new point of view. And really that's one of the reasons why we think that it's important for all designers to move from being totally skill focused. That is a skill that can get eaten up. And we're hoping really that the students of BITS Design will be able to talk to industry and convince industry about what design can do. So all designers can move ahead and not just be sitting only on skills. Firstly, BITS students are always doing everything beyond the classroom, but sometimes the seed of it comes from the classroom, like the idea comes from the classroom. So I'll give you a few examples of what's happening. So one is our student Ayush Khare, who I said from the looking at how to help craftspeople access funds from RBI. This is a project that he's now doing with RBI Innovation Hub. Another is a group of students, two students, Parisha and Utkarsh, and they applied for a competition called the Stanford Longevity Competition. Their study is how can we introduce indicators of women's health and knowledge about women's health or girls' health systematically in schools to prevent PCOS. These are second-year students. They worked with schools in and around Kalyan also, and they came third worldwide for this competition. And I think what's important to know is that it wasn't a design competition. So the students who came first, they were biomedical engineers. The students who came second were computer scientists. So the solving of problems and looking at real life things that are happening is something that design students do very well. There's another group of students and they got the Best Student Project Award in Human-Computer Interaction in the conference here at IIT Delhi. And what they had created was, they said that we have masks, but for the worker who's working with metal, copper, etc., the fine grains that there are, and if they wear this mask, they're not able to breathe because the environment is hot. So they developed a mask, 3D printed, and it's just then going into further prototyping for these people. So the ability to really see what do people need? What are the struggles of people? I think that's important. We have a set of students who are now going to present a paper at National University Singapore for designing interactive systems. What they have worked on is, we have many grievances. People have many grievances. Maybe there are problems with roads, with garbage, etc. How can the government work with them to co-create? So it's not like, okay, I'll leave a complaint and go away. But it's an interactive system, so you can also participate in the problems that are happening around you. So these are the kind of things that students do where, and these are outside the classroom. Yes, I mean, maybe the seed was there from the classroom, but they have taken it ahead because it's something that they are passionate about. In fact, in the very first module, as soon as students come, the first thing that they do is a module called Design Methods, where they go out into Kalyan, Ulhasnagar, wherever, and they study 1 square kilometer. And they look at who are the players in that. You know, who are the people collecting waste, who are the people selling sweets, who are the people who are sitting around doing nothing, who are the people who are doing something. And it's about understanding ecosystems, and then they identify a particular player and then work with them, you know, to really understand how they work with everybody around them. But I think and of course they may come up with some solutions, but the biggest learning in that first module is that you don't know anything. Everybody comes with their assumption that I can go and I can solve the problem, I'll put this brand out there, I'll do this special thing and problems will get solved. But problems are much bigger, they're much deeper, and once you realize that you don't know anything, I think that's the beginning of any form of learning. I think one thing that's really important is we have to see design as something larger, something which is more collaborative, something which is about understanding life and working with others to fulfill problems. Design education, therefore, must bring in other disciplines, must create people who are not just looking only at their small area and must have an understanding of the world, because they have to work in government, they have to work in corporates, even if they're entrepreneurs or even if they're freelancers, they have to really understand the business of their customer or whoever it is that they're working with. So I think that for us, it is important that design students and design education use design to impact all industries and to solve problems, create opportunities, create wonder, create experiences in all industries, not looking at design as a narrow silo that there is.
Thank you so much, Nandita, for responding to so many questions and all. One of the biggest takeaways that I have today is that design is no longer about beautification and aesthetics. It's much beyond that. It's about problem solving. It's actually solving the problems of the society. It's solving the problems of every single branch that we're dealing with. It can be technology or law or anything that you have. So from that perspective, this particular conversation is very illuminating and also explains to the students of who should do B.Des and what kind of student should be actually opting for this as a particular course. And of course, you also told us very clearly about how students should be going around choosing a college, choosing a career pathway, and making those options and choices between being on your own, working for a company, and how to use your program to actually gain in your career pathway. So this is very enlightening for all of us. Thank you so much. And hopefully students, all of you would learn a lot more, understand a lot more about B.Des as a program, and of course BITS Design as a program before you make that choices. Thank you so much. Namaste.